welcome to the Improv Summit. As always, I'm your host, Spencer, and with me today I have a very special guest, and I always say I have a special guest, but that is why I like to do this fun thing where I improvise the first letter of an adjective that starts with that person's first name and kind of come with that. So today I like to introduce you to none other than Delightful Dan. How's it going?
Hey, how's it going, everybody watching? I saw like your Facebook, I was clicked on, see, the views totals. God bless it, but I'm like, man, if we can get 10 views on this one, we're gonna be like top 3.
Look, I've had some that have had like 80 views, and I'm still questioning the algorithm as to how.
Oh, okay. I don't know. We have to get that. Okay, I want to try so we gotta get 80 views on this to get.
Yeah, let's get those triple digits just from this. Oh, look, your cup blends into the background.
It's Arizona. It's an Arizona. Oh, there it is. Arizona iced tea. It's green.
That's so good. Green. The green tea is the good version, actually. I like. It is. I like the green tea. It's delicious.
And if there's like herbal stuff going on, I'll take it.
If I have any fake green tea that I love, it is definitely Arizona's at the top of the list.
Me too. No. Pure Leaf and Snapple in Arizona. Yeah, those three.
I like Pure Leaf a lot too. Pure Leaf, Arizona, and I also forgot about Cool Nest tea. I was thinking about it the other day, and I don't remember why.
There's so much sugar in there.
I remember really loving it as a kid. Like that would be like one of my go-tos. Right. But I've tried to avoid a lot of soft drinks lately, so
Me too.
I guess technically it's. I mean, I haven't had like a soda in like 8 years now. I think. 8 years.
Nice.
But I kind of just had a lot of sweet tea and like lemonade because of it, so the sugar kind of went back. But luckily, like it really is just sweet tea I got to kind of figure out, because everything else I just kind of cut and didn't really mind it. But sweet tea is an addiction.
Carbonation, just getting rid of it.
Oh yeah, it's so true. But then it's like I'll take like seltzer water, and like I don't mind it, but what I don't like is that it's too bubbly now for me. It's almost like too much because I haven't had the bubbles in so long that when I have it, it's like, well, it's a lot.
Last year and this year, I've been drinking seltzers, like alcoholic seltzers.
Oh yeah,
it's good.
Throwing that sugar in there too. It's you don't realize how much sugar is in alcohol until you actually drink it. Especially like the beers and like the like cocktails and the mocktails and the canned stuff.
Yeah.
I mean, if everyone like whiskey or whatever, it's probably not as bad. But but also I don't just sit and drink whiskey every day. So
you shouldn't.
What can you
Side note, podcast note. I was listening to 102.1. It's out of Toronto, and Alan Cross. If you ever heard of Alan Cross, but I heard this thing they had. Between 2019, just in the past 2 years, like 2019 to 2021, although we're in 2022 now, in 2 years, they made there's been over 2 million podcasts made.
Jeez.
So 2 million. So,
and I've made one and I've also been on quite a few. I know, I can attest to how many podcasts there are.
We're going to pull in a big piece of the pie with this episode today. So
perfect.
Get ready.
I love it. All 2 million pieces right here in this one episode. Yeah, exactly.
Oh, I was trying to get this in. Can it get in there? I'm trying to get the Buffalo Bills. They just clinched the AFC East. So,
well, there you go.
Shout out to the Bills.
There you go. Here on the Improv Summit, that basketball edition? We're in basketball season. I kept thinking about baseball because baseball season's coming up.
Well, baseball. I mean, football playoffs.
Well, spring training, I guess, is coming up. It's not even spring yet. I'm just looking forward to spring. Let's get it over.
God bless. R.I.P.
Bob
Saget.
I guess football season. Yeah, R.I.P. Bob Saget.
Bob Saget. Bob Saget just passed away. We're dating our show.
Sidney Poitier.
Betty White.
Jeez.
1 million COVID cases every single day. So 2022 style. So we're doing it.
We're rolling with the punches, I guess, here.
No doubt.
Anyway, Dan, thanks for joining me here. I'm just going to dive into our conversation about improv. Even though, by the way, for those that are listening or watching, the whole conversation we had at the beginning was actually all improvised, because that's what improvise is just the conversation that you make up on the spot, which is what you do in everyday life. But that being said, Dan, you're so good at making up things on the spot with those conversations.
No doubt.
What is your background in improv? Where did you study? What is your background?
Wow. Did comedy sports for 10 years.
Great.
in Buffalo. Yeah, to give my whole background. But in Toronto, so we're close to, so we're Buffalo, so I'm close to Toronto. So I would commute to Toronto
Oh wow. Okay.
once, twice a week at least for a couple years. And so Second City Conservatory and Second City was the main thing I did. But then you start to learn, like in life, you start to learn more and more and more about this theater and that theater. So then Bad Dog Theater, started going to Bad Dog Theater. But I didn't take the classes there. They had like these shows. So you would show up, like Macro Nito, it was called. We show up on like Tuesdays and Thursdays, and you could do a show. You'd get notes after, and then, you know, you go home. Or you watch the next set, or they divide you in like a half. So the first half you'd play, get notes, and then you'd watch the second half. So, you know, you just watching. But I started doing this. So that was my whole Toronto thing. And
so
then
you did Second City Toronto's program.
I did Second City Toronto's program in Chicago.
Okay.
I did the Music Conservatory year-long program in Chicago.
Nice.
And I did the directing program in LA.
I have a fun story about Chicago's Music Conservatory.
Okay.
Because I was looking at the musical improv classes for Second City Hollywood, and I saw that there was like a prereq audition. So I signed up for it. And I got an email saying you've been approved to audition for Music Conservatory, and then it said Second City Chicago, and I was like, oh wait, I don't live in Chicago, I live in LA.
Yeah.
But it feels nice to know that I was approved to audition for the conservatory in Chicago for music. But I did do whatever I did: musical improv essentials and musical review because there are no in-between classes
in LA.
In Hollywood, so I just did the basic and the music review. But I did get asked to audition for music review, and then got in and did a whole musical review, and I loved it, and I wish there were more of them. But you know.
Which that's how we met. Well, I mean, at a musical. I guess it's Second City, LA.
Yeah.
Supportive white parents.
Yeah, which is a fun show. And it was interesting because that show, they had already had their main cast because they had done the show a lot more. So they're really just looking for alternates and understudies.
And when I met you, I thought you were the main guy.
Oh, yeah, because I had done all of the previews.
Right.
Yeah, I was like, half that cast had done all of the previews. So everyone's like, I forgot that you guys...
Ariel,
we were the first ones to do some of the new stuff.
Right. And Ariel, she was the mom in that thing.
Yeah.
And you were the son. And so then when two other people came in, I'm like, what's going on here? Because these two people, Spencer and Ariel, they were hilarious. And so I'm like, you're bringing in two other people? That's crazy. Crazy.
I will not forget when I did the audition, and I was like, you know, whatever. And then I went to go do a practice run with like Frank was directing or whatever. And I will never forget, I did one line where it's like the character starts crying, and I just like went like and it made Frank laugh so loud, and I was like, what? I was like, why is that even that funny? But it was, and I guess it's because the response that I gave was pretty natural of me just like then because comedy is funny when you make it natural, when you discover the moment versus forcing it. But I was gonna say one of the reasons I auditioned is I thought it was a great show when I had seen it in prior incantations. But what I really loved is I was like, oh, I'm getting hired as an alternate, which means I don't have to be there every week. And that was like one thing that, like, having done a couple of other shows, like I think I did Shade right before that, which I really enjoyed doing. But the hardest thing for me was, of course, we were Saturday at 10 o'clock. So it was a late, like my bedtime's like 10 o'clock. So it was like just a late show every week. But the commitment of being there every week was a little intense. And so having like an alternate role, I was like, oh, I don't need to be there every week. This is wonderful.
And it's crazy how that building's now gone or not in use, or they're going to move. So it's like, it's crazy how you can just have chapters of, like, I could have Toronto, Chicago, LA. And like, for me, I'm already into LA and the building's already gone. I'm like, holy cow, you know? So now if I'm there, like, hey, I used to be there when it was on Hollywood Boulevard.
I had that
in 2019
with like UCB, because I had gotten through 201 and I had just signed up for 301, and I was supposed to start the weekend that pandemic hit. And so then they were like, we're canceling the class, blah, 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 blah. And then they ended up putting them up online. And I had work study credits, I had scholarship credits, and I was like, I should start taking these classes because I don't know what's going to happen. I want to wait for in person, but I was like, you know what? So I did the rest of the program online. I did 301 and 401. I did both character classes online. And for me, like the character one, it's fun to like be in class with people, but the character one felt really super duper easy to do online because it was me presenting characters every week to the class, so I didn't feel like I needed to be in person necessarily. Improv, I love doing improv online. Like there's such a nuance to it online, but doing it in person, there's something about the energy you get from people in a room versus in a box.
And there's no delay, you know.
Right.
Which
I've noticed is sometimes like I'll have people say that I have a lag, and I'm like, I think you're the one that has a lag because what you just said was I already said that, and I remember already saying that.
Yeah.
They're like waiting for my response, but then I'm waiting for them to respond to my response because but it's not always a lag, but sometimes there is a lag. But anyways, here on the Improv Summit Zoom edition, but Dan, we talked a little bit about it because you talked about, you know, being in Buffalo comedy sports, which by the way, CSD Buffalo is a really solid comedy sports team. But you did comedy sports in Buffalo and had, what did you say?
I said that they've got, they've got, I've been there throughout the whole iterations of comedy sports throughout the years. So I got to see the transformation to, you know.
Oh, awesome.
The contenders.
So, I could have been a contender. Yeah. What was that from? I don't know. Rocky?
On the waterfront.
Oh, on the waterfront. Not even close. I said Rocky. I'm way off.
I'm trying to make sure. Yeah, it's on the waterfront.
Not even similar. It's got the same character. No, it doesn't have the same people in it. Nothing is the same about those movies
nothing
at all.
Marlon Brando.
Except they're both like Oscar-nominated dramas. I guess that's like where they
both won Best Picture.
Oscar winning. Oh yeah.
On the waterfront, one in 54, Rocky one in 76.
Rocky was 76. Yeah. So they were both Oscar-winning dramas. That's about all they have in relation to each other.
And the boxing aspect.
Oh, they are both boxing aspects. I've never seen On the Waterfront, so I don't know.
That's why I said I could have been a contender. I could have been somebody. I could have been a contender. Like,
Yeah, this all makes sense now. But I also was thinking like it was Taxi Driver, and then I don't think they box in Taxi Driver. Then I think of Raging Bull, which I think is a boxing
Jake LaMotta.
movie.
Yes.
But then I get it mixed up with Bull Durham, which is a baseball movie. But then if you put them together, if you have a baseball and boxing, it could be Raging Bull Durham. Listen to this. This is a new idea.
It's like Wheel of Fortune.
Yeah, Raging Bull Durham, North Carolina.
When they have the three.
Yeah, the before and after. Yeah, that's exactly what it is. But Buffalo being so close to Toronto, and you kind of heading off to comedy sports, and you heading off to Second City, what drew you to improv, and like what kept you wanting to continue taking classes at different establishments?
It sounds weird, like, all right, I don't want to give I'll tell, but where I don't give my whole life story, because what if someone sees this and they're going to use this for the documentary of our lives? You know, it's so stupid, so dumb.
Everything is trademarked on this show. So
I know. It's like, I saw an article in the paper, and there is for comedy sport. It said, "Hey, can you think on your feet and be, you know, funny?" And there's no scripts or whatever.
I can think on my feet, and I can think off my feet too. So just kidding.
But that's how I got into it, and so I didn't even know it was called improv. It didn't say the word improv.
Oh wow, okay.
It's just, can you be funny and think fast on your feet or something? I'm like, yeah, okay,
sure.
You know. And so I went to the audition and I got in and all that. So I didn't know it was called improv until like late. I mean, like, I don't know, a year later or something. Like, oh, this is improv. Like, oh, this is improv, and then you'd hear about I have a whole different, mine's a whole longer story that I don't even want to get into. But anyway, so we were at this rehearsal. It was my first
now I'm intrigued.
Month. I was just there for a month or two, and you know, no one had done improv. So essentially he was just like recruiting everybody at once and sort of starting anew. So I vividly remember they were doing the hitchhiker game. And so you come into the scene, someone comes in and, you know, whatever. So now we have all four people in there and everyone's just talking and saying stuff over each other. And but even back, I was aware to be like, whoa, let this person talk, you know, don't talk. Yeah. But these guys were talking nonstop and this girl was sitting there and she couldn't get a word in edgewise. So after we were getting notes, and she was basically saying, hey, I couldn't get in a word edgewise. And, the guy's like, hey, at this point, he's just like, everybody's just being funny. So there's no, God bless, there's no real direction at this moment. And she was like, I don't want to be here. Yeah. So God bless her. She's like, I don't want to deal with this. I'm not going to, if you don't realize people are talking over each other, we can't do anything about it. It was a whole thing, it was just this moment that she was like, I don't want to do this. And so she leaves. And as she's leaving, she goes, I've quit better places than this, or there's better places than this. And drama, right? So then the guy yells back, yeah, it's called Second City. Now I didn't know what Second City was. So I'm like, what did you just say? So I'm like writing that down, like Second City. Oh, I better remember that. That's better than this. So so that's how I knew about that's how I learned about Second City, and that they offered classes and all this stuff. And so then I went on the internet, looked it up, like, what is Second City? Where is it? There's one in Toronto. Then I look, so my whole delving into going to Second City was because someone's like, I'm out of here. There's better places than this. And he's like, yeah, Second City. Like, oh, okay. So I don't know if that answers some question, but I give you
that's great.
It was a funny story where I heard that. And then I went to Second City and I started taking the classes, and my whole thing, when I started taking them, I'd come back, I'd play at Comedy Sports, and then, seeing like the games where you're playing like short form, you sing the song, you rhyme a word, there's no scene work involved. But when I do the scene work games, the scene work stuff from Toronto, then I'd use my stuff I learned at Second City, and my friends would be like, dude, you're doing great, you're doing awesome, oh my gosh, what, I'm like, I'm sitting there in my head like, it's just scene work, but I learned it at Second City, how the pros do it. And so there's a second, if you're in, depends like where you're recommending. If you're in Spokane, Washington, I don't know what to recommend, but if you're in Chicago, New York, LA, not New York. So if you're in Toronto, Chicago, LA, I mean, Second City is a great place.
And again, LA is questionable because it's all online, but it's a question of when we're going to be, I say when we're going to be back in another space.
If you're recommending on Zoom, I don't know how to recommend a Zoom improv course. Maybe they're all half price now. I don't know.
You can just watch all of the shows that I do on YouTube. Just watch every one of those.
Yeah, I mean, it depends how deep into improv. Right, just watch the Improv Summit.
Yeah, just watch all 90 episodes, 100 episodes.
Take notes. They got it. You don't have to worry about anything else.
So, it's everything you need to know, free on YouTube.
No doubt. I mean, then we all know if you go to UCB, it's the game. If you go here, it's this. If you go here, it's this. So when in Chicago, a lot of people worry about making a team on IO, but then you go to Annoyance, there's no team. So it's like, oh, you're just improvising to improvise at Annoyance. So that's great. And then you have the pack here. So for me, the packs, the pack, if you're watching here in LA, the pack was great because it's like, someone had told me this is like the closest to like a Chicago feel, which is very true. So
yeah, they're reopening soon too.
Yeah, I saw that
March is the reopening date.
Now I think they got a different. I don't know if they're at the same building, but like a different, like the side theater.
Yeah, I think it's the same area. I think it's still in Hollywood, but maybe not the exact same theater.
At the complex. You've been there, right? Yeah, you've been there, right? The complex is next door. And they got two small theaters, 2 or 3 small theaters inside there. And so I think they're doing the small side theaters.
Okay. And maybe one up the stairs, or just off to the side?
Oh, off to the side, to the right.
Oh, okay.
But it could be upstairs. That would be a very small theater upstairs.
Yeah, much smaller. I think it's an improv classes there.
Yeah. Me too.
They worked fine up upstairs.
Improv. So it's weird, like doing improv. So the week COVID was announced, but the COVID shutdown didn't happen. I was taking class at the PAC, and so the next week we came in there when everybody is on the news COVID, but we still had class, and and they're like, yeah, guys, we're not going to do like any handshakes in this scene. We're not going to, and we did like spatial scenes, like we did distance scenes. So it's weird how just that first week of, because then after that they shut it down and they're like,
sure,
we're not doing, and then it's been shut down ever since, which is crazy.
And it's also interesting because for like something like in improv school, not being open in person for almost 2 years
Right.
is really like the death of a lot of improv.
Oh, so many theater.
Unfortunately.
Yeah. I mean, UCB closed, Second City's moving their place, the pack I mean, literally that's the
Moving.
three moving, but all three. So it affected the entirety of LA
Hmm.
Improv.
Oh, 100%.
Yeah.
And it's also a matter of like, like I know UCB closed Sunset, but they still have Franklin. Are they going to continue with Franklin, or are they like, and also I get it. Like, if you don't have anything going on, why have the overhead of buildings? And I think a lot of companies
Oh,
just in general realize, why do I need to rent a space if people can just work from home?
right.
Like, that's a major overhead, is having the building cost.
Right. I mean, maybe like improv in Nebraska is going on just as the same, you know.
I know New Mexico's got it going on.
Pretty good. I drove cross country once the shutdown happened. So I drove from LA back to New York. And I was at New Mexico was the only state in the South that had a sign as you drove, like, wear a mask, wash your hands, wear
Oh,
a
wow.
mask. New Mexico's the only one. And then I watched the news where the outbreaks are happening. New Mexico's the only one like not lit up. Now everyone's got it anyway. But early on, I was like, all right, New Mexico, good for you.
They tried.
Yeah.
But then COVID just tried harder.
Yeah. So improv in New Mexico went down.
Yeah, it's still going though. It's still going.
I drove into Santa Fe, New Mexico, because I'd never been there. I'd been to like 44 state capitals. Drove into Santa Fe. No one was in Santa Fe. I drove in the main square. 0 people there. So no, this is like an average improv show for most people.
Yeah.
Yeah,
exactly.
So,
no one's there. You just do it for you.
I just got out and did some improv. And this was, hey, I did it in Santa Fe. God
Perfect.
Bless,
there you go.
God bless.
Improv in Santa Fe. What a dream.
Yeah.
Especially for no one and by yourself.
Right.
Even more of a dream.
COVID. So it's weird. I mean, I always think like Supportive Parents, the show we met at, I always think that was last year. And like COVID, oh wait, now it was 2019, not 2022. So I'm like, holy cow.
It was like
crazy.
Almost 3 years ago, which does not feel like it. It almost feels like the last 2 years just kind of were together and just kind of didn't really happen. Like, I'm definitely not in my 30s now.
Oh, I don't know how old you are.
I'm definitely not in my 30s now.
I mean, I know what that means. So great.
Because we're definitely still in 2020.
We look
because we're in 2022. Also, like, we're still there.
Yeah. God bless us all. God bless us all.
God bless us, everyone.
Yep.
Speaking of God bless us, everyone, completely unrelated segue. Thanks so much for joining me here on the Improv Summit. I got one final question for you, Dan.
Sure.
And that's a question that I generally ask a lot on this show. This is a question I surprisingly get a lot when I just talk to non-improvisers or actors who want to take improv. Is they're like, Spencer, you take a lot of improv. Where should I take improv? And it's always in that voice that they ask me. So it's really easy to just match. Right. But it's always a hard question for me to answer because I feel like there's a lot of factors that go into choosing where to take improv, how to take improv, like online versus in person, big school versus a small school. But if someone came up to you and asked you that question and said, where should I take improv? What would be one piece of advice you'd give to them to help guide them on their improv journey? Just one little factor, one little tidbit.
I mean, it's tough because currently with all the shutdowns and you can't be live in person, I think it's tough. Like, do you want to take online improv because you're chomping at the bit? I got to do improv today. And so you sign up for the pack or you sign up for Second City. But to do that, are we talking about online improv or to recommend?
Well, anything at all, whether it's in person, online.
For the people that I think that have already been doing it, I would say get a group together. Last year 2020, a year and a half ago, my friends from LA,
in the past.
my friends at Second City, because even we did interning stuff, so I've met a lot of people. And like, hey, we're getting this thing together online, and we're doing a Zoom improv. We write to sketch and improv. So so if you have friends and you can get together once a week, I would recommend doing that. If you've already done improv and you have some friends and you can just make a thing, do that. Online, I mean, well, if the pack opens up live in person in 2 months, I'd say if you take it now or wait 2 months, I'd say wait 2 months, save that money, wait 2 months,
Yeah.
do it live in person. Meeting people so much better. And if you can go out after, if you do improv, will the bars be open after? Because hanging out after is really important. Hanging out after is really nice too. And so if you can do it,
the community for sure. It's having that community to
it's
talk about, debrief,
yeah,
and just like enjoy company.
it's so true. It is so much. And I'll if I can tell a quick brief story.
Yeah, sure.
I went to Flappers, and I was at Flappers in Burbank. It's where they just do stand up, no improv. And so there was a guy. I walked in because I went to go meet a friend, and so because we had done comedy in Chicago. So he saw me, hey man, so we're talking. Another person I knew came in who was doing stand up in a different room. He came up and talked to me. Like 2 other people came in who I knew. So like there's 5, 6 of us talking, and I knew 5. I knew everyone except for this one guy. At one point, this guy goes, "Who is this guy?" But it's just so funny because he didn't see me doing this the stand-up stuff in that community, but everyone in the improv community who did stand-up and improv, they knew who I was. And so we were all talking just like we were all doing stand-up. It was great. So that's what we were doing.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
I love that. Well, again, thanks so much for joining me here. Yeah. The community. See, I think that's actually really important because it's a matter of like, again, I've talked about this before on the show, that improv is a team sport. So being a team player, but also enjoying who you're working with is very beneficial to having longevity in an improv career or as an improv hobby, because if you don't like the people you're doing it with, you might not like improv for that reason. But if you have people that you like doing it with, improv always generally is, for at least for me, tends to be fun because I'm doing it with people I enjoy doing it with.
Right. But it's all good. You enjoy it. Meet friends, community is good. And that aspect is so much important that, just hang out after. If I even give a little bit more advice, if you're at classes, hang out for an hour after. Just hang. Sometimes you don't feel like hang out a little bit and you can talk to people, and it's really nice.
Yeah, that's great. I love that. Well, Dan, thanks so much for joining me here on the Improv Summit.
Yep.
I did say that was the last question I had for you, but as always on this show, I'm a liar. So I have another question for you, and that question is, we've been talking about improv. You want to do some improv?
I guess I have to. No, yeah, of course.
Yes,
sure.
And let's do it.
Yeah.
All right, we're going to do some improv. Now, Dan, as we know, improv is very vast with the types of suggestions and the types of ideas that we can get. So what I want to do is I want to play with the idea of giving a very not specific suggestion at all and seeing what we can come up with based on that.
Cool.
So I'm going to throw it into the chat, and we'll just have you read it out loud, and we'll go from there.
A, lowercase a.
A, like the letter A. That is our
A.
suggestion. Who would you like to initiate this scene?
You can.
All right, great.
Sure.
All right, thank you. A. This is a carrot. Carrot starts with a C. It's really interesting because a carrot has a hard C, but a C sounds like a soft C. So really, if you think about it, a lot of words have a K sound, which you think they would start with a K, but they actually start with a C.
Hey, man. Hey, man. Hold up, man. Listen.
Yeah, Jake?
I can read, man. I just want to get my prison GED, okay? And I just want to get out. You can just give me the test. I don't even need the lesson. I think I can nail it on my own. So.
All right, Jake. Then we'll do the oral exam. I'm gonna say a bunch of words, and you're gonna spell them for me.
How about I just hit the written one, just ace it, skip the oral.
It's the same test. It's the same test. I just would prefer to hear your oral compensation, not compensation. When you not compensation. I'm not paying you for anything. Your oral, the way that you compartmentalize everything when you speak, unlike the way I'm doing it now.
I think you're trying to run a power trip on me right now.
Look, Jake, here we go.
Lord this oral test over me.
Jake, are you wanting to exempt from English, or do you want to stay in the class?
Let's take it, man. But just don't do no power trip.
All right. First word.
Right. Cool.
Carrot. Spell carrot.
CARROT. I'm not stupid, man. Dude, I'm not stupid.
So you didn't ask for a definition, because the correct one is actually K-A-R-A-T, like a
Oh,
carrot,
dude,
like a
power
carrot
trip.
cut.
Power trip.
You can always ask for a definition, or the language of origin. You just can't ask for me to spell it, because then that defeats the purpose. All right, we'll move on to the next one. You ready?
So what's up with that? Do I get a passing grade?
Well, we got to move on to the next one. See if you get this one right. Ready?
Making
Below.
up these
Below.
B-E-L-O-W. That better be the right one.
I'm sorry, you said below. You spelled below.
Yeah.
I said below. B-L-O-W. Below.
What's that? Dude, I'm smart. I've read books. What's that? What are you saying?
All right, we'll do word number 3. Let's see. This one will determine whether or not you can continue on with the exam.
You're
or
tripping,
if you're going to be
dude.
exempt from the class. All right, ready? Word
Power
number 3.
tripping.
Are you ready?
I've nailed every word so far.
But you always have to make sure you can ask for a definition or all right, the next one is fiery.
I'm skipping right over any definition. I don't need that. Fiery is F-I-E-R-Y. Pace.
I'm sorry, you
actually
didn't hear the G at the end of firing.
Firing
is firing. Shit. So unfortunately, that is not the case.
Dude, that's bullshit.
But you know what? I can give you a bonus word.
You know I spelled fiery, which is tougher than firing. That's what
it is.
Dude,
however, you knew how to spell fiery, so therefore it might have actually been easier for you.
I did a tougher word. I can spell Mississippi. I'll do Mississippi if you want. Whatever you want.
That's fine if you want to spell it. It's not part of the test, but you can spell it if you want.
I thought I should get 100 on this test, but okay, do your dictator power trip and stuff, man. Give me a word.
Well, are you going to spell Mississippi or what?
Oh, does it count?
No, it doesn't count. It's not one of the words.
I ain't giving
I guess you'll just never spell any words right. All right, you ready for this? Will be the bonus word. If you get this one, I'll just say that you can pass on.
Sweet.
The word is to.
Don't expect me to ask for a definition, because here's what I'm going to do for you. Because this is an oral test. This isn't written down. In a written down test, you can see what's up. But hear out loud, I can spell T-O-T-O-O-T-W-O. I gave you 3 2s, baby.
Unfortunately, I said two. So unfortunately, that's T-U-T-U. You just didn't let me finish the word before you interrupted me.
Man.
And scene. Okay. Thanks ever so much for coming to the Improv Summit. As always, I'm your host, Spencer. That's Dan. See you next time.
Hey,
Bye.
peace.